Hello, everyone, and welcome back to From Mrs. to Ms. I'm your host, Andrea. I'm joined with someone very special today. I have Amy Reiley with us today. Hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Thank you for joining me. Love having you here. So, Amy is a culinary pioneer. She's earned a Master of Arts in Gastronomy from Le Cordon Bleu in 2004. She's renowned for her work in Aphrodisiac cuisine, and she authored the best-selling book, love this, Fork Me, Spoon Me, the Sensual Cookbook in 2006. Great title. Amy is also recognized as one of the top female wine professionals globally, and she's an accomplished journalist. As the creator of Amy Reiley's Pocket Vineyard and Pocket Gourmet, she has revolutionized the industry and continues to innovate with best-selling books like Eat Cake Naked, Aphrodisiac Desserts to Heat Up Your Love Life. Wow, this is right up my alley. I love this because I haven't talked to anybody in this area yet. So I'm very excited about hearing about this because I don't even know like what the aphrodisiac foods are, why, all of that great stuff. So this is going to be just so fascinating for me. So let's start at the beginning. So
Great.
where did your love for food come from? And how did you discover that aphrodisiac foods were kind of your niche?
Well, I mean, I just love food. Like, how do you
Who
not love
doesn't?
food? I know, actually, I have met people who don't.
Uh-huh.
So I get that there is a different way, but for most of us, food is, it's delicious. Like it can do so many things, right? It can
Mhm.
change your mood. It can be a
Soothe you.
conversation starter. Absolutely, it can soothe
Yes.
you. It can heal you. And yeah, I love food. But my interest specifically in aphrodisiacs, um, it started as an interest in health. And
Oh,
I was working as a wine writer primarily, and a little bit writing about food, more of as a generalist.
yeah.
But I got very sick when I was in my early 20s, and
Oh.
it took a while to diagnose it. But when it was finally diagnosed, it turned out I had like the least sexy thing ever, a systemic yeast infection
That
combined
might
with
not be up there with
yeah,
good
right.
sex stuff. Yeah.
Oh, combined with a severe mold allergy. But the thing of it is that
Wow.
the treatment for that is almost entirely dietary changes.
Okay.
And the diet was awful. I mean, like
Like what kinds
unbelievably
of
awful,
things? What kind of things did
incredibly
you have to eat?
restricted. There was barely anything I could eat. Um,
She's
it was
like,
like
that's why it's terrible because there was
celery,
nothing to eat.
celery and roast chicken. I mean, that was about. I could eat meat as long
Yeah.
as it. What I couldn't eat was I couldn't eat any kind of first for the first phase any kind of sugar, and that includes like I couldn't squeeze a lemon on my salad.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, so
nothing
nothing with
fermented.
flavor.
Right, nothing fermented, nothing that could potentially contain mold. So I couldn't even eat leftovers.
Mm.
So no fruits. I mean, it was like
How did you
green
get this
veggies and meat.
sickness?
um, and this is the scary part because so many of us are overtreated with antibiotics. That's where it
Yeah.
came from, was being overtreated with antibiotics.
Wow.
And the mold allergy component really came from I'd had a mold allergy as a kid, but then I lived in an apartment where unknown to anyone, a pipe burst under our unit.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
wasn't until we discovered, like, we flipped over our mattresses and pulled under our, I mean, it was everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And so luckily I found that out because that
Yeah.
started the process
That sounds like a
toward
lawsuit to
getting a
me.
diagnosis. I was a kid. I was just happy they let me out without taking my deposit away. I thought I'm breaking
Yeah.
my lease. Like I was just thrilled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hindsight's 2020.
Right. Yes. But yeah, but the yeast infection portion of it, which was the more serious, was overtreatment with antibiotics.
Gosh,
Too many
you're so
years of
right.
sinus infections.
I do think because they are very quick to say, let me prescribe some
Yeah.
antibiotics for that, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes that's their
Right.
answer to everything. So yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So what I discovered through all of this unsexy period of my life was
Uh-huh.
how much what we eat impacts our health. And of
Yeah.
course, during all this time when I was sick, I was feeding the mold allergy and the yeast infection because I was having things like wine and mushrooms and carbs galore, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so I was feeding all of it. And when I had to change my diet so severely, within weeks, I
Yeah.
felt fantastic.
Really?
It was profound. It was really,
Yeah.
it was a life-changing moment. And I was, you know, it was a natural fit for me. I was working in food and I was like, oh, this is like, I want to show people how great you could feel by making good food choices.
Yeah.
And for most of us, it doesn't have to be so restrictive and not terribly tasty. Although I got pretty
Mm.
clever about making foods tasty, you
Yeah.
know, during that time. There's a lot you can do with the spice drawer.
Right, right.
But so that's where this interest came from. And
Wow.
at first I didn't realize it was going to be aphrodisiacs, but I knew that I love Greek mythology and I love the history side of food.
Hmm.
And I wanted to find a way to combine that with this newfound knowledge of health. And you know, sort of looking around, aphrodisiacs were a natural fit. And I also
Yeah.
thought this is a great way to get other people excited about food by telling them, oh, it's going to help your sex life, you know, rather than saying,
Yes.
oh, you'll feel better. Like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Prove it. Yeah.
Right. Wow, I
So,
love that. It's funny how those things happen. You know, certain things
yeah,
happen to you in order for you to see something new, right? I guess in
right.
front of you. And the fact that it took you down this career path, that's just so cool. You know,
Yeah.
you turn
Yeah.
lemons into lemonade, right?
I did. I did
Yeah.
all the lemons I couldn't eat. I turned into.
Yeah, you made one big glass of lemonade, some
Mhm.
sexy lemonade. So I
Yeah.
love it. So
Yeah.
what defines like an aphrodisiac food and what attributes to to their reputation as being that? Like what makes one aphrodisiac?
So an aphrodisiac, the definition of an aphrodisiac is a food that kind of whets your sexual appetite.
I like it already.
Um, so if you look throughout history, there are a large number of natural foods that were considered at some point or another as aphrodisiac. But when you look at most of those foods, you'll see that there were multiple cultures across different time periods in different parts of the world
Mm,
that were using these foods as some sort of sexual aid, be it for fertility or for sex drive or for performance.
yeah.
And so now we know a lot about nutrition and we can
Yeah.
look and you know, we can do studies and we can understand um, from the point, you know, an evidence-based approach, we can understand why a lot of these foods really are aphrodisiac.
Yeah, that's really cool. So something that could be for a sex drive could be totally different food for performance. You said, or do they
I
usually
mean,
kind
to
of go
some,
hand in hand?
yeah, they often go hand in hand. A lot of the
Hmm.
foods you'll find that are considered aphrodisiac are really supportive of heart health.
Mm. So good
Yeah,
stuff. This is all good
yeah,
stuff. This
yeah.
is positive. Okay, so what are some of your favorite aphrodisiac ingredients that you like to use or dishes when you're
Ooh.
trying to, make something particularly effective or intriguing?
So I feel like I put all my best dishes in my cookbooks. So just get
As they
any one of
should
my
be.
cookbooks and yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what I mean for me, if I want a meal that would work well for me, really it's very simple. It just has to be like a bottle of champagne and some oysters. And I know that all
And
sounds
you
cliched, but that works for
this
me.
works for
So
you.
I like things that are simple.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So is it a lot of spices? Like what makes
Hmm.
it that? It's the spices sometimes that you're adding that can change the flavor of it or the texture of it or something that creates it to be more of an aphrodisiac? Is
Well,
that
so I like to approach aphrodisiacs in a couple of different ways. What's your goal? If your
okay?
goal is your personal sex life,
Hmm.
then you'll choose foods that are supportive of sexual health.
Okay.
If it's a food for like an evening of seduction, there are
Mm.
foods that have more of an immediate impact.
Oh,
Chili peppers, for example, they raise your
really?
body temperature, they make your lips plump up, they make your tongue tingle. These are all sexy things.
Wow. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Interesting. Not like ghost pepper, right? Those are like the
Oh, those are a
super.
little scary. I've tried them
Yeah.
once and I was like, well, now I can
Well,
say I did it, but
yeah, that might scare somebody away. They don't want to be with you after that.
yes.
But so it was interesting. So I read on your website that women tend to have a lower sex drive than their male counterparts.
Sure.
In addition, according to Women's Health of Central Massachusetts, as much as 43% of women experience some form of sexual dysfunction in their lives. But getting the right nutrients can help boost sex drive, improve or maintain sexual function, and even help maintain the pH balance of the female reproductive system. So
Mhm.
tell me a little bit more about that and what kinds of things can help us with that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really important topic. We don't talk enough about women's health in general.
Yeah.
Most women don't realize that heart disease is the number one killer of women in America. We talk about
Yeah.
heart disease and associate it with men. And the reason I bring up heart disease is because the foods that you would eat for your sex life are
Hmm.
often the same foods you eat for heart health because
Oh,
it's generally about circulation,
okay.
right?
That's a
So
win-win.
circulation, your heart
Yeah.
circulation to the nether regions, it's
Yeah.
all the same system, and it's
Interesting.
important for function in both areas.
Yeah.
So, but as far as women go, yes. I mean, we also don't talk about the fact that women have issues with sexual
Sex
function,
drive and
sexual, right? Yeah.
yes.
I mean, any of it. And
Yeah.
and we do. And that 43% that you talked about, that's the women who've been diagnosed with
Oh,
a problem.
wow. So that's
Most of
not
us
even
don't,
don't
right?
get it
We don't
diagnosed.
talk
Yeah.
about our problems, right? And it can
Hmm.
be something as simple as vaginal dryness,
Yeah.
which you can overcome very easily. And by the way, just drink more water. That sometimes helps.
Oh, okay.
So
That's an
easy.
easy fix.
But there are other easy fixes, of course,
Yeah.
for that one. But if you want like a long-term fix, just try drinking more water and see what happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like an internal
So
lubrication.
yep,
Interesting.
exactly. And the other and pH, the pH balance
Hmm.
of your vagina is also very important. And did you know that chocolate will help balance that pH?
Oh,
So
yay.
yeah, so eat dark. Well, it's got to be dark chocolate.
Dark
Eat dark
chocolate.
chocolate. Dark chocolate has a lot of benefits. It has benefits for your heart too.
Yeah. So when
So
we say pH balance, I might be getting a little graphic here, but like we're talking to smell, like how it smells, how it if you get like
smell, feel, function, all, yeah.
function. Okay.
It needs to
Clear
have the
that for me.
right, just like your soil needs the right pH balance for your tomato plant to produce a tomato.
Yeah.
I don't know why I use tomato because it just
That's quite a comparison. That's good though. That's good. Yeah, because we don't think of any of that. I never think of any of that, Amy. I just think of, I eat what I want when I want to eat it, and
right.
if I want some dark chocolate, I'm not going, oh, this is going to be good for my health, or before I'm about to have sex, hold please, let me get a bite of chocolate. Like I'm not thinking that way at all. So I love this because it's going to kind of open up people's minds of thinking
Mhm.
a little bit more about what they are eating, like you said,
Right.
and hopefully on the track of better health anyways. So
Yeah.
that's really,
Yeah.
really cool. So what would be, I know I kind of asked you like your favorite dish. You said like oysters and stuff like that. Is there
Mhm.
something that would be particularly memorable or like a successful dish that you created in your cookbook that would
Mm.
be, yeah, that you've received kind of like, ooh, I like this, Amy. And it kind of, did something to me. And does it do that where you literally feel it? Or is it just like
Sometimes
gradual?
yes. I mean, sometimes yes. Now you have to be in the right mindset, right?
Yeah.
Because when we're not open to things, we don't feel them anyway, even when they're happening
Yes.
around us.
Yes.
And it's the same with a romantic evening, a romantic dinner.
Yeah.
I will tell you that when I was working on Fork Me Spoon Me, there was this guy who was my friend,
Uh-huh.
and he I when you work on a cookbook, you have to test recipes a lot.
Yeah.
And
See
this
what
guy didn't
works.
cook, and I just felt kind of bad for him. So I just kept inviting him over because I had all this extra food, and I figured, well,
Uh-uh.
he needs to eat.
Uh-huh.
So we're married with 2 children now.
Oh my gosh. No. I love that. I was going to say,
I
were you
actually got
attracted
pregnant.
to him? Yes.
No, I mean, I wasn't thinking that way at all. Like, I
Oh,
really wasn't thinking that way at
yeah.
all.
You're just saying he's
And
hungry.
well, yes. And
It's
then
perfect.
while I was working on my book, Romancing the Stove, that's when
Yeah.
I got
Great
pregnant with
title.
my first child. So,
Okay. Wow. That is
yeah.
so fascinating. And I love that. I love that. Going back to what you said about that you have to be open to it. That seems to be the common denominator for, just about all of the topics I do is that you have to
Mhm.
kind of be present in the moment. You have to be open to what can come your way and
Right.
really like just feel it. we tend to, during sex, a lot of times I think a lot of women are thinking about, oh, what I got to make for dinner tonight. And oh, I didn't pick this up from the grocery store
Oh
today.
my gosh, I forgot, whatever. I didn't send the permission slip with my daughter. Like that has gone through my head.
It is so frustrating because you're just like, and you have to tell us, no, stop thinking about that, right? And get yourself back to the right mindset. So I guess it's kind of similar like that. So if you're taking something, you got to almost look for those little things that might happen or might change. I'm definitely going to look at, like, if I drink more water, I'll see how that works, because I think,
and actually water is also for men and women for sexual function. It's pretty important. I mean, I've had a urologist, that's that hard to say, had a urologist tell me that if all of the men who were his patients drank enough water, he'd have probably half as many patients.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, really surprising.
It's
but
so
I mean,
simple.
Yeah, it is so simple. And we should go back to the origin of us, and just be drinking that all the time. But we have so many other choices these days. I think people tend to go for all of the other stuff. What about like fruity water? Is, any of those?
I mean, staying hydrated is the key. And sugary drinks, not a great choice.
Yeah.
Alcohol, not necessarily, or coffee, not necessarily a great choice. But keep continuing, staying hydrated is really the key. And water is the easiest, most effective way to do it. So
yeah.
that's why
You reminded me of
water.
You reminded me of something, and you might be able to answer this. I could be totally off topic here, but like when we're talking about wine or alcohol tied in with performance, sexual performance, because we know men get, I guess they call it whiskey dick or whatever they might call it. So what is that causes that? Is it just because their mind is so fogged? I don't know. Do you know?
So what is this, the actual function that causes?
Yeah. Like what is the tie in there why that happens?
I mean, I think it's just the level of impairment. It literally impairs everything. That's what I always assume.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is some trigger or if there's some specific spot, point of what would I wouldn't call it saturation of alcohol consumption, whatever.
Yeah. That just all of a sudden causes that
specific moment at which, you've gone too far. I don't know.
I don't think men know either, to be honest. So I think it's okay. Yeah. So what advice do you have for home cooks who want to kind of experiment with some aphrodisiac ingredients in their own cooking? And are there any beginner friendly tips that you have for us?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So when I approached it from the thought that everyone's a beginner when I wrote my first book, Fork Me, Spoon Me.
Smart, because we are.
So, right.
Really
and
good.
So not necessarily just a beginner in discovering aphrodisiacs, but potentially a beginner in cooking.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I've thought about this. Yeah, I've thought about this a lot.
Okay.
And most important thing, if you want to have a romantic meal, don't do something complicated.
Okay.
Pick
and
something
why
simple.
Do you say that? Just because you're gonna mess it up, you're too nervous, all these different things?
The stress, the energy, like you want your time put into, feeling good and looking
enjoying
good,
the meal
right?
together
and being ready to enjoy this meal.
Yeah.
So, the fact that you've cooked for someone is usually impressive enough. It doesn't have to be, unless it's a fancy dish that you're comfortable with. But even then, I'm like, why you save it for the dinner party where everyone can ooh and ah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
what kind of thing would you suggest?
Well, I like things that you can put in the oven and forget about. Those are always a good idea.
Okay.
Believe it or not, there's a meatloaf recipe.
Oh, I feel like a lot of men love meatloaf like that. They're like, if I say
it's a sure thing with my husband. It's called moist mango meatloaf.
Oh.
And it has chunks of mango in it, so it's exotic. And it's fairly light. It's a turkey meatloaf because I always say do not serve a heavy meal.
Okay.
Because your blood goes to your stomach to help digest this food. So you not only feel tired, but you don't have blood flow going to the places you want it to. It's all in your stomach.
Interesting.
So that idea to have something heavy.
Yeah.
So it's a lighter meatloaf, but I'm telling you, my husband's like, yes, that's the meal. And it's great because you can prep it in advance.
Okay.
Put it in the oven, go get ready, So that's a good one.
What makes it The moist part, where does that come
The
from?
mango.
The mango makes it moist.
Yeah, adding the fruit to
Yeah.
the meatloaf.
So like pieces of mango, like you're cutting up.
Yes. Oh yeah, it's good. It's
good.
really good.
I don't find this recipe. That sounds delicious. Yeah, a lot of men seem to like meatloaf. I kind of figured that out. I
Mhm.
perfected my meatloaf for that
Oh,
very reason.
excellent. Yes. Very good.
Oh my gosh. So what would be like some tips you can give people other than that, like just for maybe like a dessert? What would be a great tip for a dessert?
Well, I wrote a whole dessert cookbook.
I
So
know. We're going to talk
clearly
about
I
that.
spend a lot of time thinking about aphrodisiac desserts.
Yes.
The goal with my book was to create desserts that maybe had some elements that had nutritional value, like to your sexual health.
Uh-huh.
You don't necessarily have to do that,
Yeah.
you could do something simpler, but either make it a small dessert or make it something quite light. I sometimes work with chefs, consulting with restaurants and chefs. And I had this one chef tell me, we were planning out a Valentine's dinner and he was so excited. He was like, I have the best dessert in mind. It's a banana split for two. And I was like, why would you do that? Don't do that to people.
Yeah.
They're gonna go home full and tired.
Oh yeah, it sounds good, but it doesn't end well.
No, that is not for, save it for another occasion. Save it for somebody's anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're thinking of something light, would that be more like a mousse or like a something like a light cream?
Yeah. So one of my favorite suggestions is, I don't know if you know affogato.
No.
It's an Italian dessert.
Okay.
It's espresso with a scoop of gelato that you put in the espresso. So you have these two temperatures.
Yeah.
And then you have bitter and sweet, and it's very, it's very sensual and enlightening. The senses come alive just tasting this, the experience of tasting it.
Yeah.
And it's a very light dessert as well. Now, the thing about coffee, people might be thinking, well, I don't want to have coffee like at the end of the evening, but it's not the end of the evening, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be that. Hopefully that's the plan.
And coffee is actually considered an aphrodisiac historically.
Really?
Largely because it gives you that little oomph of energy when you need it.
Yeah.
As well as the fact that coffee is a mood enhancer. It elevates mood.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a huge drinker, but like tequila, I believe is like an upper, right? Is that something that kind of can get you a little worked up and excited? So is there other drinks, like certain or like specific drinks that you could have, any kind of odd juices or anything that you could suggest?
There's been a lot of research on pomegranate juice.
Oh.
And its benefits for men's sexual health.
Oh.
So for men, it appears that pomegranate juice is like the smart choice. I will say, I mean, it's a tremendous amount of research, but the majority of it was paid for by pomegranate companies.
Oh,
yeah. Two big pomegranate companies paid for a lot of research. So you kind of have to, keep that in mind, but still, I mean, you can't skew the research to that, not to that degree. So, and they consistently shows that it's good for men. So that's a good one.
Oh, that's interesting. Pomegranate juice. I don't think I've ever tried that. That sounds good. So how do like cultural perceptions and historical traditions influence the selection and use of aphrodisiac ingredients? And that's twice I tried that word, of aphrodisiac ingredients.
So I'm not sure I understand where you're going.
You mentioned something earlier just about like different cultures and
historically.
Historically, or are there certain things that work for different cultures? Or traditions
I mean, so first of all, if you look at cultures around the world historically, the majority of cultures embraced foods as aphrodisiac.
Yeah.
Which in itself, I think is pretty profound.
Yeah.
The other thing about it is we live in a time of abundance, but in the past, people were starving. There wasn't enough to go around. So if they were seeing these effects, and saving these foods for these special uses, you have to figure they saw something in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't know. So what are the 10 best foods for women? Give us some good ones.
Oh gosh, I always get nervous when I have to rattle off the list.
Just give us as many you can. That's okay.
Kale, which I know is like snore.
Wah, wah. Yeah. Blah.
It's great for women. Learn how to massage it so it tastes a little more tender, you know.
Oh, what do you mean?
Oh, you don't know how to
Like,
massage her?
no.
Yes, you massage. No, you don't just massage a person, you massage your kale. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, if you put some oil on your hands and massage the kale, break it down a little. It's
Uh-huh.
not so tough and like chewy.
Oh, yeah. Before, like while it's raw, you're kind of doing it at
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
point.
yeah.
Interesting. Is there
Yeah.
any other food that you would massage like that? Or is that the only
The
one?
only one that comes to mind
I
at the moment.
don't, I'm like, huh, I don't eat enough
Yeah.
kale, so I don't know that. Okay, so kale,
Kale. Let's take something more fun. Peanuts. Peanuts are
peanuts.
great for women.
What kind of peanuts? All peanuts?
All peanuts. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Eggs, also great for women. Not only a
okay.
symbol of fertility, but
Yes.
also a good, healthy protein source for women.
Yes.
And then oh, this one's boring too, but if you don't want to eat eggs, you don't eat meat, tofu.
Oh,
Tofu is brilliant for women's sexual health.
really? I wish I liked it. I just don't.
I don't understand how
Is
there's nothing to like or dislike. It's
no,
just boring.
it's boring. It looks boring.
So
It's
go to my website,
okay.
eatsomethingsexy.com, and
Okay.
go look for the tofu chocolate mousse. So
Oh,
good.
it's
It's so
really
good.
good.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
so why is that? Why is tofu such a thing for sexual gratification or whatever you want to
Well,
call it?
all of these foods are help support women's sex hormones as well as sexual performance. Tofu
Uh-huh.
also a good source of protein. We forget always think about men. That's another thing we think about men. Oh, men need lots of protein. So do
Yeah,
we,
so do we. Yeah.
and we don't always get enough. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
when you say enhance the sexual performance for women, is that like what does that mean exactly? Okay, so if I'm going to eat some tofu, where
Hmm.
am I going to, I guess, feel that or notice a difference
Oh, so
sexually?
yes. So you may not like from eating tofu once.
Yeah,
That's or any of these foods that I've named, eating them once,
probably
you're
nothing.
not gonna like feel it. You're not
Yeah.
gonna get a tickle down there or anything.
Yeah.
Um, but if you incorporate them into your lifestyle and continue to eat an increasing amount of them, they
Okay.
will help
Do
you
they
to achieve a happy sex life.
okay, and do they increase your libido? Like they increase your sex drive for women too?
Some of
Or
them do, yes.
okay.
Among the foods that I have listed, some are supportive of sex drive as well as sexual
Yeah.
performance. Some are more towards sexual performance. I mean, anything that's helping your hormones stay in balance
Yeah.
is going to help your sex drive as well
Interesting.
as,
Yeah.
performance. So,
And I just
yeah.
thought of something that I use often. It's like a organic yam cream that
Ooh,
I
yam
know, and I
cream.
put it in
Mm.
like all the little erotic areas, the inside of your
Yep,
elbow and the inside of your wrists and stuff. So there must be
right.
something tied there that kind of helps.
Yes, yam. And I've
Yeah.
heard specifically wild yam, although I've yet to
It
encounter
is.
a
It's
wild
organic. It
yam.
is. It's
Yeah,
wild
where do you
yam
get a
cream.
wild yam?
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
But so which is why I left it off my list because I was like, couldn't tell you where to buy a wild yam.
Yeah.
But yes, wild yam is known for being great for women's sex
Yeah.
lives. It is.
Yeah.
And there are also a lot of herbs that are known. I don't do the herb thing. I'm all
Okay.
about eating and food
Yes.
and cooking, and that's my wheelhouse.
Yes.
But I do want to say there are a lot of other great things if you are really looking to take a deep dive. There are some really good resources out there for
Yeah,
those.
yeah. And one of my favorite desserts is chocolate covered strawberries. And I think both of
Oh,
those might
nice.
be on
They
your
are
list,
both on
right?
my list. They are. Yes.
Yes, those are delicious, but a more darker chocolate. A
It
dark
has
chocolate,
to be
not
dark
milk.
chocolate. Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
It has to be dark
yeah.
chocolate.
Which is it can be an acquired taste, but it is
Mhm.
something that as you eat it more, it's
Yes.
really good. Like I find
Yes.
I like those special dark chocolate bars, the Hershey's special dark
Yeah.
chocolate or something, they're actually really, really good. I don't like when it goes way further that is it cacao and it's like that
Right.
bitter
It's
taste.
funny. I didn't used to either, but the
Yeah.
more I ate dark chocolate, I kind of like the special dark is kind of like the gateway dark chocolate, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you just keep working your way up. And now I can enjoy there. I will say like a 90% bar
Yeah.
isn't gonna like give me that good feels of something sweet and wonderful.
Yeah.
But if I'm hungry, like as an afternoon snack,
Mhm.
it's great.
It's great. Yeah, interesting. And then strawberries as well. Is that
Yes.
one of, I don't recall, I saw the list. I don't recall
Yeah,
if
the
a lot of
strawberries are
like,
on, strawberries made
yeah,
the list.
not a
Yeah.
whole lot of fruits are on the list for
Well, I
them.
was trying to balance it out. I was trying to
Okay.
give you a well-rounded list.
Yes, yes. And
So
you
yeah,
did.
yeah.
And
Citrus fruits are also on there.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
And is the list of foods different for women than men?
Oh yeah, very.
Yes. Okay, tell me a
Yeah.
few of the
I
men
mean,
ones.
the hormones, our systems are very
Completely
different.
different. Yes, so
So
they should
the
be.
list of foods are different. And that's not to say, if you want to cook for you and your partner and you're really focusing on your sexual health, it's not detrimental
Yeah.
for them to
Yeah.
eat your foods and you can
Yeah.
eat their foods.
Yeah.
For sure. They're all still good whole foods. But
Yes.
on the men's list, pineapple tops the list.
Wow.
The
Pineapple.
legendary pineapple. Yeah,
That's good. That's yummy with some dark chocolate too. That's
it
good.
is. That is so true.
That's a good treat.
Almonds. So women
Okay.
get peanuts, men get almonds.
Okay.
Actually, all nuts are great for men, but
Yeah. Yeah.
almonds are they have
Generally.
some good nutrition, and it felt like the right fit for the list to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Wow. Oh, that's interesting. And so, well, we kind of talked about why they're so different. So when people are picking them, you can, like you said, you can kind of mix it up. It doesn't have to
sure,
be specifically this meal for him and for me. You
right,
can kind of enjoy the things together. There's not going to be
right,
anything that hurts you. It's just going
right,
to be hopefully all good.
yeah.
So I know you've written 5 amazing books. So tell us about each of the books and kind of how they differ from each other and
Boy.
what you were going for with them.
So let's see. Well, 2 of the books I don't think are even in print anymore. I've
Oh,
been at this a really long time.
wow.
So the first thing I ever did, it was a work for hire. It was called Chili Aphrodisiac, and it was an
Okay.
entire book about
Okay.
chili peppers as aphrodisiacs.
Yes. Interesting.
So
A whole book on that. Oh my
yes, they
gosh. Oh my
wanted a whole
gosh.
book. So I was like, well,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah. And are these cookbooks or are
That is a
they're
cookbook. Yes.
okay. Okay.
That one
So
is
it's
a
all
cookbook.
recipes. Mhm.
And Fork Me Spoon Me, we already
I love that
mentioned.
name. How did
That
you
was
come up with that
my
name? Where'd that
Oh
come from?
goodness, that's embarrassing.
Oh,
No,
yay. Go for it.
well, I was on the phone with my publisher,
Uh-huh.
and it was one of those really bad phone calls, and I just kept hearing, "You can't do this, and you can't do that, and you can't." I
Negative
hung up the
Nancy.
phone, and I just looked at the phone and went, "Oh, fork you." And I was like,
You're like,
"No,
oh.
no, fork me." And that was it. I had a title.
Oh, that is awesome. That
It was
is
a
really
spite
funny.
title.
So cute. I love it. It's a great title. It's so perfect for it.
Yeah.
Okay, which other ones?
So Romancing the Stove
Another great title.
is my
Yes.
second cookbook.
Yes.
And then I did a book called The Love Diet, which is also out of print now.
Okay.
And then that brings us to my dessert book, which is Eat
Yes.
Cake Naked, which I co-authored with a woman who works with me at Eat Something Sexy. She's our nutrition director, and she has her
Okay.
PhD in nutrition.
Uh-huh.
And so we work together. I have a sweet tooth. She has a PhD in nutrition. We came up with the perfect dessert book together.
Oh, I love this. Okay, so I'm going to go back a little bit. So what's the difference between I'm sorry, what was the first book? Oh wait, we have Fork Me, Spoon Me. What
Mhm.
would be the difference between that book and like Romancing the Stove?
So, Fork Me, Spoon Me, the whole concept was to introduce people to aphrodisiacs.
Okay.
And you may have been, for someone who's completely new to the concept, I chose 12 ingredients that are relatively easy to access. I wasn't going to
Mm.
put things like oysters or maca on there or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. Oysters
Um,
are like a real big one, right? For sex
th-
stuff.
they are. I mean, if you're looking at the data, it's a little,
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
But yes, they're a good source of zinc. They're a
Yeah.
good source of lean protein. I mean, it's a winning food.
Yeah.
And to
Okay.
me, they're very sexy. Very
Yeah,
sexy.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I just got on this train a little bit with the ones where you bake them, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember what they're called because I don't know. It
There's a
just looks
few. There's
like,
a few classic baked oyster
oh
recipes.
yeah.
So
And you
yeah.
put some like Parmesan or something on
Oh,
it.
which
And
one is that? Is
those
that
are great.
Rockefeller? That
Yeah,
might be
it sounds like
Rockefeller.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the raw ones, I don't
Not
know.
ready.
That's like a
You're not ready, huh?
I have a texture thing. I don't really, I've never really said this on here. I don't really eat anything white and creamy for the most part. It never bodes well
Okay.
with a man. I had to make exceptions, but yeah, I really stick to, like no
Yeah.
cream cheese, no cottage cheese, no ranch, no blue cheese, no
Wow.
mayonnaise, no yogurt. No, I know the
Oh
list
my
goes
gosh,
on.
no, I couldn't live without yogurt. I don't think I could. I
See?
really don't think I could live without yogurt. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that none of those things. So that's
Wow.
good. I just rule all of those out and they just happen to be all white. I don't know. And so that always is a little funny joke in the beginning of my dates. I
Yeah,
like to see their
nothing white and
reaction.
creamy.
But yeah, no white and creamy, buddy. And they're all
Um,
like, so and then
but I
romance.
do want to tell you,
Uh-huh.
they're in Romancing the Stove. There is a
Okay.
recipe. There's an oyster recipe that I want you to try. This will be your
Okay.
next thing. They're
Yes.
grilled.
Oh,
You
okay.
put the oysters on the grill and then they pop open.
Oh, okay. I could do
Yeah,
that. I
they're
could do that. Do you
delicious.
put anything on them? Like some lemon and
I can't, yes, there's a whole after they pop
the whole
open. Yes,
thing?
and I can't even remember I wrote
Yeah.
that book in what, 2011. Sorry.
She's like, it's been a while.
And remember, I got pregnant. Well, I was right. I was gonna say I was pregnant, but I know I
Yeah.
don't have that excuse. I got pregnant. I can't use
They
baby
already
brain,
worked.
but yeah. Well, now I have baby brain. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
They're
it's
all
all
over the
gone.
place.
Everything's gone.
I hear you. So the Fork Me Spoon Me was your first book, really,
Yes.
and then
Yes.
minus the ones that are no longer in print, but like Romancing the
The
Stove,
stove, and
and
then
then
Eat
the
Cake Naked.
okay.
Yes.
So let's
And then
talk about.
I actually do have another one that I should be mentioning because
Oh,
it's new and exciting,
yeah.
and it's just for men, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
called, and it's not just a book, it's a whole system. It's called the
Okay.
Better Sex Bundle for Men.
Oh, I like it.
So there's a book in the bundle called Fuel Your Fire for Men.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
whole thing, it's teaching you simple ways to improve your sex life. And
Okay.
it's incorporating those 10 best foods for men
Uh-huh.
and teaching you how to incorporate them into your diet, how to plan your menu, how
Mm.
to track how you feel. There's a
Yeah.
journal that's not like a good feels journal. It's a journal
Yeah.
of like, so you can see when you drank enough water, when you got enough sleep, did you change your medication, all of the extra
Yes.
things that contribute, and you can see what works for you
Oh,
and
that's
what
great.
doesn't. So it's
Yeah.
not just here are 10 foods, eat them all the time. No,
Yeah.
it's a
Good.
whole plan.
Oh, I love that because then they can
Yes,
try it and maybe that night they just, it's off the
right,
charts, their sex life
right.
for that night. And then they can go
And
back
then you
and look and go,
rethink, like, what did I
oh,
do
yeah.
right? Yes, yes.
And then we get a delivery at the door with like 100 boxes of chocolate because they figured out this is
Yes. I was thinking it's gonna be
it.
like the case of pineapples, you know?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's
Um,
awesome.
yes. So, and I
Okay.
am working on it's supposed to come out, and I say it's supposed to.
Yes.
It was actually I've delayed the release of the book. It was supposed to come out this month. The Better
Okay.
Sex Bundle for Women is
Oh,
coming
I'm
out later
excited.
this spring, but I
Okay.
just wanted to re-review some of the research. We're so much more complex than men
Yes.
that I'm
Yes,
really
we
taking my
are.
time
Uh-huh.
to, give us, because I mean, every day our hormones are changing, right?
Yes.
It's like, we're
Yes.
so complicated.
Oh my goodness, for sure. And what phase of our lives we're in and what's going
Yes.
on that day
Yes.
too.
Men wake up every day. It's pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. Yep, I know.
Not
We got
us.
the short end of the stick, that's
We
for sure.
did.
On some
We
things.
did.
Some things. We get to have babies. I guess that's good. I mean, it's good when they're out.
Yeah, when they're
When they're out.
yes.
So, okay, so like the last one, the
Eat
dessert
cake
one.
naked.
Eat Cake Naked. Oh, good
Yeah.
titles. These are such great titles. I love it. I love it. Okay, so that's a full dessert cookbook.
That
So,
is all
okay,
dessert.
all dessert. So what's your favorite one in there that you would do?
Ooh. I can tell you my husband's favorite. I have
Okay.
several favorites. His favorite, hands down, is my sexy key lime pie.
Oh,
I made
okay.
key lime pie sexy.
What makes it sexy?
Well, it's mostly, so it's texturally, I tried to lighten the texture a little.
Yeah.
And then, but it's mostly the crust. The crust is salty and has macadamia nuts crushed into it.
Oh, I
It's
love a
so
good
good.
crust.
It's really good. It's a really good one.
Wow. Is there like a certain ice cream that's an aphrodisiac ice cream?
Oh, I worked with a chef who taught me how to make a rose sorbet. That
Oh,
is among my favorite, like,
yeah. I think sorbet
frozen
just sounds
desserts.
sexy. Sorbet
It does.
sounds
It
sexy, right?
does.
Even the way you said
Yeah.
it, you're like a rose sorbet. That just sounded sexy. So that's good.
Mm.
And then do you think it's true? I've heard this, I feel like forever, about the green M&Ms
Oh,
that they
that
make
is
you
so
horny.
funny.
Any
I mean,
truth to
I first heard it
that?
as the red ones, so
Oh,
I don't know where the
we don't
truth
know
is
which
on that one.
one. I don't do either. I used to pick out the green ones. Come on, work for me.
Oh, that's funny. You
That
actually
is
did it.
funny. Yes, I did. I'm a believer. I'm so naive in that stuff. So that's fun. Well, this is very exciting and very fun learning about. I just didn't know a lot of this. And that's why I was very excited to have
Mm,
you on, because I think a lot of people don't really know that. We eat what we eat and we do our
right.
normal routines and cook things. But maybe if we just slow down a little bit and try some different things and
Mm-hmm.
make it like an experience with our
Yes.
partners, right? Where we
Yes.
can pick out, a wonderful meal from your cookbook and a dessert, and make those items together. I mean,
That's
God,
always the whole act of cooking together can be an aphrodisiac,
yes. Oh,
really.
yeah, for sure. I
Completely.
agree with that 100%,
Yeah.
because especially if you have a little bit of music playing in the background, you have
Hmm.
maybe a glass of wine with it,
Yeah.
you do a little dance in the kitchen, just everything about it, or, somebody's leaning across you to get something. I'm a very like, I just love everything about romance. So I'm always like, he's brushing my arm as he grabs the
Oh.
kale. I just
Yes, as
love
he
this.
grabs, I love it as he grabs the
The
kale.
kale.
Yeah.
That just made kale more exciting.
Mm.
So, okay, well, tell us where they can find these books that you have, the ones that are still in print.
So my books are sold through major retailers pretty much
Okay,
everywhere. You can get everything on Amazon, like
wonderful.
everything else.
Everything else?
Um,
Very
Eat
nice.
Cake Naked is actually an ebook, and you can
Okay,
get that from any major ebook retailer. Like you
okay,
can get it from Apple or Amazon or wherever you like to get your ebooks.
okay,
And actually, all of the books are available in ebook. The
okay.
Better Sex Bundle from Men, you have to get just from me. So you have to go to
Yes.
eatsomething.sexy.com
Okay. So
and
tell me
check
about your
out.
website there,
Oh,
eatsomething.sexy.com. So what are they
it's a
going to
great
find on your
place.
website? I was interested in it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it is a collection of information to just enhance your romantic life. There's
Yeah.
information on the history of foods as aphrodisiacs. I have that
Mm.
whole list, the whole 10 best foods for men,
Yep.
the 10
Mm-hmm.
best foods for women are all there. Why? What they're going to do
Mm-hmm.
for you, all the information on what they're going to do for you, links to recipes,
Oh, perfect.
to use them. We have a couple of writers there who are travel writers and have given us some information on great couples travel ideas. So we have all of
Yeah.
that, as well as products, not only my products, the ones I've
Yeah.
created, and we have them all for sale there, but
Yeah.
also just product reviews of things that may enhance your romantic life.
Oh,
Anything
yeah.
from, I just reviewed of all of the things. It was a carrot Bloody Mary mix.
Wow.
And it's actually really delicious.
It
I was
was?
skeptical. So
Yeah.
anything from like a fun cocktail mix
Yeah.
to I last year I reviewed a CBD lubricant for women, and it's
I like it.
effective. Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So
Okay. All that's on your website.
all the things that will enhance your romantic life, it's all there.
Oh, perfect. That is so good. So before you go, I like to play a little from Mrs. to Ms. fun facts, this or that
Okay.
game. It's just 10 easy questions, kind of
Uh-huh.
relationship driven, which you'd prefer. Okay, number one, would you rather have an adventurous date exploring a new city together or a cozy night in with a homemade dinner and a movie?
I'm tired. I'm gonna go cozy, cozy night in.
I'm tired. Okay, this one's right up your alley. Sensual sushi rolls or decadent chocolate fondue for a romantic night in?
Ooh. Um,
Are sushi rolls
both,
sensual?
both. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they
Oh,
could be.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah, I love a
definitely.
good
I'm going both.
fondue.
Sorry.
Okay, I get it. I get it. I love a good fondue for sure, especially cheese. Would you rather date someone who shares all your hobbies and interests but has different values, or someone with similar values but few shared interests?
Well, I think number two describes my husband and I.
It does.
He's not into food. He doesn't drink wine. It's shared
Oh,
values. So
really?
yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
interesting. Yeah, it has to be values then, because
yeah.
that's two totally different things. Oh, that's interesting. Which is why he came over and you made all those wonderful meals for
Right.
him.
Yeah.
That worked. All right, number 4, spontaneous makeout sessions or planned candlelight dinners?
Spontaneous.
Spontaneous. Number 5, would you rather have an unforgettable first date, but no second date, or just a mediocre first date that leads to a long-term relationship?
Ooh, you know what? I like first dates or like make my skin crawl. I just rather, could we just somehow skip the first
Skip
date?
it. Unfortunately, there's no second date on the
Right,
first one,
I
so you're
know,
gonna
I
have to go
know.
mediocre for the rest of your life. Number 6, blindfolded surprises or playful role play?
Hmm.
I always ask that one. I've never done either, so I don't know.
Hmm. Well, I mean, that kind of depends on the day.
Yeah, the mood, kind of,
Yeah, the
yeah, what's
mood.
going
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Would you rather have the ability to read your partner's mind during sex or be able to control their sensations with just a touch?
Ooh, control their
Oh,
sensations.
can you imagine? You can speed that right up anytime you want. You got the magic touch. Trying new positions or mastering the old ones?
I get bored easily. Let's try new positions.
Yeah, I do too. I'm kind of the same. Like I'm always like, "Hmm, what else can we do?" Number 9, slow dancing in the living room or spontaneous dance moves in the kitchen?
Kitchen.
Kitchen. Just like I said, a little dance while you're making something. And the last one, tease to build anticipation or straight for the fireworks?
Tease.
Tease. Good
Mm.
foreplay, which again is food. You could do a
Yes,
total, I mean, imagine with the strawberries and the chocolate and the
exactly.
whipped cream and all of that, the pineapple. I'm sure you can work that in there
Oh yeah, I got to work the
somewhere.
pineapple in.
Kale, maybe not so much. Not so much.
No, not the poor
Oh,
kale.
yeah, doesn't get a good rep. Oh my gosh, this was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing those with us. Everybody, like we said, we can find your books just about everywhere. Go check them
Mhm.
out. They've got such great titles. Sounds like they have amazing recipes in there for people to try and experiment different things. And then also check out your website. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much again for joining me. And everyone, we will see you next week. Once again, you can find me at from.mrs.to.ms on any social media platform. If you have any questions or suggestions you want to talk about or any questions for Amy, you can email me at info@frommrs2ms.net. Thank you for joining me once again, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.